Round 6 is done and dusted. Let's go through how I went and then preview the week ahead. We'll go through the buy, hold, sell for round 7. And we now see the introduction of the Perth Wildcats as the interesting team here. In round 7, they begin a 5-week stretch, I should say, of doubles, which is going to be really, really cool. There are a few guys that are of interest, and we've got a couple of injuries as well. So, Webster comes into some of our thoughts, especially coming off a really big score before this hip issue that he's got, and hopefully he's actually going to be okay for this week, and it'll actually help my team a fair bit if he comes in and can play the next few weeks, especially make some cash, get some decent scores. We've got guys like Dylan Windler, who are coming off a bit of a low one. Keanu Pinder come off a 34-point effort in actual points, not in SC, when the 45 range for that one. So he comes back into people's thoughts. And you've obviously got a couple of the cheapies as well. And Almanza, the cheapie guards with Pepper and also Henschel. And then Almanza as well, coming off a better game from him. So there's a bunch of guys in Perth that become really interesting, along with the Melbourne guys, United and also Sem. Still have another couple of games of doubles in a row. We've got the Kings this week, along with New Zealand, one more double for those guys as well, heading into round 7 there. And then the Jack Jumpers come into a 2 lots of double games, which is going to be fun as well. But for me, a 495, a pretty solid week at that. I did use my final boost, so we have to navigate things really well over the remainder of the season, but very happy with how things are sort of setting up. A few of the cheapies are doing well. We've got the Menenga issue. I can't believe we end up trading him in over Mooney just to wait for Taron Armstrong next week. That was the reason. But there's always these kind of misses and makes. That's for sure during a season. But on the other hand, very glad I brought back Jack White. But into 641 overall for my side there. And some good cash in the squad. We're at 2.62 with the 2.63 actually million with the extra cash that I've got in my bank. It's a pretty solid little effort there. There's a few misses, as I said, but have moved into the top 3%, which is solid at 641, and hoping to continue to move upward from there. Cooks with a 95, so I'm very glad I brought him back in. White a couple of weeks ago, I did pick up the low score, but 2 really good ones here. Matt Hurt with a 65. He's going to be really stock standard and solid in a center position that was definitely tough last week, and this week coming anyway. You've got a few more that come into play with Magne back in the mix there. You've got Pinder that becomes a really solid option as well. And then Hurt. He's just going to stick around this price, in my opinion. He'll have that 60-odd break even on doubles pretty regularly, and he'll have to score around that 30-odd mark to continue sitting around this price, which I think he can. The dual position, it helps him as well. Jackson Cartwright at 440, lost a little bit of cash, and we'll look at a couple of break evens as well while we're here with Cooksey with a 62 on the double after that 95 was incredible. Jack White has a 43 on his double break even, so he should make a bit of cash as well, which is nice. Hurt with a 68, as I said, he'll stick around that price within 10 or so $1,000. We've got Jackson Cartwright on a 91. I still don't think would be any reason to sell him. The points alone are going to be worth it, and then you can move him on next week when they serve 2 singles, if you like, just to make sure you get a continuation of really good scorers on a week-to-week basis. I didn't mention Doolittle for the Perth as well. He's going to be the big dog, but I don't think he's in my range right now. That's why I forgot to mention him in that one. But yeah, the shocker for me was playing Glover over Hickey. Unfortunately, I was out playing cricket, and I wish we just got our before team list, because if we did, I would have kept Glover in the squad, obviously, to facilitate the Cooks and Hurt trade, but I would have played Hickey over Glover, and then it was just an absolute perfect storm for Hickey there, being able to go nuts and score 78 with Kellen playing 14 minutes in that first game, and then obviously not playing in the second game. But I don't think it would have mattered too much. Glover off the bench, the minutes became lower. He was under 20 in both games by far, 17 and 16 or something like that. And Hickey continued on his role. He's playing incredible basketball right now, and he's almost a week-to-week starter at this point. It might change at certain times, and obviously with Kel back and some different things like that, he will have the odd bad game for sure. But right now he's killing it. But the only problem with them now is the fact that they go on to a host of single game weeks for Illawarra over the next little bit, similar to that with Brisbane, and they start to get a few more double games later on down the track. Round 9 for Brisbane. I believe round 10 for Illawarra there. Check that one though. I can check it here while I'm going on. But in terms of doubles for this week, as I said, those teams that we're looking at, obviously Henschel comes into a bit more of an option as a potentially a playable guy as well. If Webster's out again, he'll start Henschel likely, and he'll keep give himself a good chance to hit 20s on a regular basis, which would be nice there on that front. Illawarra, where are we? Round 10 for them. Yeah, round 10 was correct, which is good. But then a couple of singles, and then they have 5 doubles in a row. So that's good for those guys. But when you're looking through the sections, what you need to look at is their starters. So that was the big difference this week. If you were able to get near the 500 score mark, you made ranks. If you happen to have sort of 2 average guys like a Menenga or a Lepepe in your starting side, along with like a Glover or something like that down below, or an Ulrich, or however you decide to play that center position, and didn't have Hickey there to help you out as that cheap guy, then you probably got somewhere closer to the early 400s and you lost ranks this week. So coming into another big round of double games, you need to make sure that these starters are set and ready. And there are a couple of cheaper guys that you can plug in on your bench. If you've just got the 2 trades, it could be just a downgrade with a Lepepe, with an Ulrich, one of these guys. I wouldn't sell Hickey yet. He's got like a negative 12 break even or something again, which is crazy. If he gets a 24, we make another 30 odd K, which is just wild. Henschel's got 11 with the double, so you're not moving any of those guys on. But guys like Ulrich, Menenga, Lepepe, if you want to downgrade them a little bit to then upgrade in your starting side, I would suggest that as a good option. When we're looking at my side, I'm just going to be wanting to fix my last guard spot and get that player to be someone decent, and that's for me where someone like Webster at 200k, potentially if Armstrong is back, someone like that could come in and be a decent scorer. Obviously without the double for Armstrong, but to get some good cash / scoring in that 5th starter, so you can get that double game guy scoring good points for you, and then you can get some decent scores from your guys on the bench. So if we're looking into the forward spot, you could definitely still select White. I probably would not go for Cooks this week just because you'd be trading him out next week. White you can at least hold for another couple of weeks, which would be cool. And he's 70k cheaper, which 72k cheaper, which is going to be pretty important as well. And if they've obviously got guys out in Illy and Delhi playing some less minutes, but White's starting to hit the 3 ball well, like you saw the other night. He continues to rebound well and be a double threat. So he's someone that I think you still want to target in that position. It's him, and it's guys like Doolittle, which we'll have a look at there as well. So if you're looking at it by averages, Doolittle's at 364k and is a very similar price to Jack White, just for about 4k more expensive there, and is coming off that 23. So he didn't shoot the ball well at all, but we know that can definitely be part of his game if he gets stats across the board. And he shot poorly and got a 23. So when he actually has a decent game, he'll be back up into that mid to high 30s into the 40s as well, as you saw he hit a bunch of 40s in a row. So Doolittle's the guy this week that you're going to want from Perth for sure. If you can spend that extra money, and Doolittle's that guy. And a shout out to Montrez for a 71 in his time out there. I did sell him a couple of weeks ago for Jack White. It was a mistake the first week. It wasn't a mistake the second week. But if you held for both of those, you're crushing it. And he's up to a 37.5 average, which is what we thought he could get to. And he's really just become the focal point of this offense, with Kendrick Davis as DJ is struggling a little bit to score really well and be to be the guy. I think he started really well in the first couple of games, and Davis wasn't the guy. But since they've started to win, it's been when Montrez and Davis have really taken over a lot of that attacking punch there. Hurt, as we said, a really solid guy you can have. Wardenberg, it's time to sell him. He's been a valuable servant for your side, but you can move him on to guys like Pinder, obviously Doolittle if you're looking for a forward, or Jack White. I think they're the 3 in that one. If you don't have Magnay and you're looking at that price point at 314, I'd probably suggest to go to Pinder over Magnay. Obviously, the break even for this week, especially, is going to be a lot lower for Pinder with that high score of his, and he has been really up and down. That 47 that he picked up at 304k, 10k cheaper, is a really solid guy to look at for sure. And what about Cam Oliver with the 54, even in the especially less minutes in that second game, but the first game he he crushed it. And it's still a weird one with him, the minutes wise. So put out a really cool post on that one. Just like he's played over 25 minutes once, and he's hardly getting over the 20-minute mark in most games as well. So for someone that's such a big talent, he's someone that you can hold another week. If you want to work this week, you could definitely hold again, but it can be a little bit frustrating as well. And then you're looking down the line, guys like Casey Prather, it's a little bit of an annoying one, going 20 and then 14 in his last two, and you could look at that and be frustrated and look to sell. I understand that, but they also go into a nice run soon. So I think if you have a lot of boosts remaining, like 2 boosts left or something like that, then you could sell him now and then, get him back, or, be able to use that to get an extra Brisbane player a little bit later. There's a few things you can think of there for sure. Tui with 22 on the double, I think it's time to sell him now. He started pretty well, and this week has kind of hurt him a little bit. Wieskamp as well, coming off the bench, 43, I think is a good little spot for him. I wouldn't be targeting him at 222, but it was definitely a solid one. For anyone that jumped on Rob Lowe, an 18 in the double was tough there. Lepepe, as we said, Majok Deng you could almost hold now. I think you got that 26 from him in the single. I think if you do own him, he's on the double this week. Probably holding is the best strat there. AK Gak, it's time to sell him. He's done a decent job at 29 for him in that. It gets his price going back in the right direction, but no doubles for a while there. But the big win and the big in this week should be Karim Lopez there. 46 for him. Had his second career start there in that previous game, and picked up a really, really high score in the high 30s there, which was great for him. And it was a little bit slower for him in that first game. And then in that first one of this double this week with a 9, but then picked up a 37 for him there in that second one, and played really well and got really good minutes. And just from watching that game, he looked like he belonged in that starting side. And I think that he's going to be a really valuable member, a much more valuable member in our sides compared to Sam Menenga, that's for sure, at 153k compared to 144 for Lopez there. He had plenty of bounce. That jump he's got on him was really, really nice. He made a couple of shots. He had some blocks. He did some really good stuff out there. So I think his spot should be safe in that side. If you already have him, or you're looking to get a couple of cheaper guys from the forward spot, then Malik Lewis is the other guy there. Picked up a 15 into a 25. So that 25 will stay in his rolling average there for his break evens for this next double. And they've got 2 doubles to go, which is really, really cool. So they're the 2 guys I'd be looking at. And then if you want to go cheaper in the center position, obviously with the duel as well, is on Almanza, as I said there. 22 for him in that game on the weekend. Got a bit more burnout there and did a really good job. So if you need someone a little bit cheaper at 128, or to go 2 cheaper guys to get up to a big dog with your third trade, then that's the good one as well. And then Paul Max Darling, for those that brought him, ended up copping 2 DNPs this week with an injury. So that was tough on that front, and that is the forward position. And we've basically spoken about the center position there. Aldridge is kind of like, it's hard to sell him because of the guys available. If you're wanting one of the forwards, you can't, and you don't have someone to move over. Like if I wanted to sell Menenga and Aldridge, I couldn't do that because they're both center eligible, and I need to buy a center. And if I'm looking for a Lopez, you can't do that. So just have a look at that in your sides for sure. But you can see here, Magne and Pinder are the 2 guys at a more expensive price. And then obviously we're just talking about Almanza as well. They're the only 3 guys I'd be looking at in the center position. It's a pretty dire spot, and that's where Matt Hurt for me was a very safe option in that center spot, especially before we knew Pinder was going to start to play a little bit better. For the guards, there's a couple of options. It's not plentiful selection, that's for sure. I think with Matt Mooney now, if you didn't grab last week or the week before, you do hold off now. It's only a 1-week rental, and you'd be selling him straight off, especially when you need to sell Parker Jackson Cartwright as well. Can do you have enough space to go double guard being sold in round 8? Potentially, but potentially not as well. So there's not a clear amount of guys that you might look to target. Milton Doyle's another one on that list that you could look at. Jalen Adams looks like there's a little bit more of an injury there, or it could going to be a bit more longer serving, unfortunately. And then you've got the 2 guys around that 200k mark in Armstrong and Webster, like I mentioned, that can do a really good job. We do have to monitor the injuries from both of those guys, unfortunately. And the Trey Kell one is so sad. Pick up 7 in the one game, and obviously lose that 35k. He'll have to be sold now. Either way, it was a 1-week play, and if you captained him, it's tough going because Tyler Harvey ended up having a really nice double lot there with the 67, And then anyone that brought in Dellavedova, you got one game out of him and they blew it out, so he didn't even have to do much. So yeah, this guard spot is very injured at the moment. You see Derek Walton Jr., Delhi has missed some time there, Cotton, Trey Kell, Armstrong, Adams. It's really, really tough down there. But thankfully, there are plentiful amount of options, that's for sure. Even Keandre Cook there had a really low game at 15, and then Rob Edwards had I can only describe as a tough outing in that second one for him. The first one, was solid, and the second one, not so much, that's for sure. You were hoping for like a 55 or so across the double in that one. And you had Sobey at 267. I still think he's a really solid option this week. He didn't have a great second game, but the first game he got to 31. In both games, he didn't shoot the ball well. So if he has a really good shooting game, then that would be awesome. He's also passing a lot more, to be honest. He had a bunch of assists, and he didn't hit the 15 plus field goals attempted, which was interesting as well. And Webster, as I said there, 198 coming off that really nice score the week before. Hopefully he's available, because if he is, I'll be picking him personally. And then if Jalen Adams is out for a little bit longer, then you've got guys like Tyler Robertson, who did have a 21 over the double. I think Isaiah Liafa is the play, which will get up his round 6 points, because his average is horrendous. We'll find him there. 47 for him across the double. He scored really well in points anyway. He finally started making the three in this little section here. So he had 23 points in the second game. He had 9 points in that first game. And you can see how terrible he was scoring the basketball in that first bunch of games. And thankfully, there was other games where he had points and assists. He had 3 games with 4 assists and a few rebounds, the odd steal, which helped him out. But if you're buying Liafa here, obviously coming off the 28 gives him a nice solid break even, a low one at that, into this double. But we also have to get him to have some really good games here and actually light it up a bit. And he was very trigger happy, and he was making a lot of them on the weekend. A bit of confidence has been built. So I think with Liafa, he got to 188 last year. Can he get back to that? Is that worth it for your side to buy him on the double? It's a very streaky type of play. It can definitely work, like it did in the 19 and the 28 in this round. But it could also go back to the 11s, make it 2 threes and 1 assist, couple of turnovers. It could be that kind of game for him. So he's definitely the risk. But at 140, it's not a crazy risk. Like, I've made some mistakes in some of the cheaper guys, and I'm still sitting at 650 odd. A good spot, a solid spot overall. So they're really the guys you want to look at across the board, guys. And we'll leave it at that, I think. Thanks so much for jumping in, following my journey, and listening in for the buy, hold, sells. And we'll be there for my trades once we get some more info on guys like Armstrong, Webster. It might have to go for someone like Liafa if it all doesn't work out. So that'd be pretty scary, but we'll have a look at that as we go. I don't think Pepper's the play. Just not scored all right with the 18. If Webster's out again, then Pepper could be an option as well if you don't have him or Henschel. But yeah, he's a secondary option, I think, to Henschel. Just has a little bit more on the assist side and the like there. So there you go, guys. That's that one. We'll catch you in the next video.